Alright, so let's talk about Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher. This is a spin-off of the Monster Rancher games, which were pretty popular in the late 90s and early 2000s. They are basically monster raising simulators. The older ones were based on the Monster Rancher anime, while this new one is themed around kaiju monsters, with the almost exact same type of gameplay loop and combat. Is this spin-off theme strong enough on its own to play, or is it really just nostalgia bait? Let's go over a bit of the story, the gameplay, and then my final thoughts on who I think should be picking this game up. Let's get into it. Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher was developed by Koei Tecmo Games and published by BNE Entertainment and Namco Bandai America. It's currently only available on the Nintendo Switch and is going for $49.99 US. The story takes place in a world where kaiju monsters once roamed the land. They were large, destructive, and it was simply a bad time for humans. Then, one day, a savior of the humans, Ultraman, fought all of the monsters, defeated them, and they mostly turned into fossils. Many years later, individuals who call themselves monster breeders use these fossils to regenerate, tame, and pick them up, and now they live amongst the kaijus. They help out with basic tasks and are also used in combat like battle tournaments. You are a new breeder who just got their license. You enter a new town and aspire to become the highest ranked breeder of all time. So the gameplay is primarily split up in two parts: the monster raising itself and the combats and tournaments and such. Let's start with the monster raising portion. Here you'll take care of these gigantic kaijus from birth, aka regeneration from fossils. The goal of raising them is to use them in combat, so you want to take special care to spend your weeks wisely, choosing the optimal task for your monsters. To raise their stats and keep their loyalty and devotion, you can do a variety of things. There's training drills, which increase specific stats. You can fight off wandering kaiju who are in your territory. Each kaiju likes to eat and dislike certain foods and spices, so you can mix and match those. You can praise, scold, and let them rest if they're too fatigued. You can even further grow and customize your kaiju by letting other rival NPC breeders train them to learn new moves. You can also bake up special cookies to force powerful permanent traits on your monsters. These stats and traits can then be passed down by fusing monsters who are kind of close to their combat career, ending it, which is only after a couple of in-game years. Now, for the combats, I think for the most part it's a one-on-one fight with the goal of depleting the enemy's HP to 0 or having the most percentage of health left over them before time is up. It's a 2D plane with you being able to manually control them moving left or right. Your kaiju position determines which move you can activate. You can have up to 4 moves, and once in position, simply execute and watch the results. Using Guts, which is their energy for moves, which recovers over time. It is what's needed to activate attacks. There's basic moves, projectiles, buffs, debuffs, charging at them and even pushing back. Your kaiju stats alter damage, defense, evasion, hit rates, and their HP. So that's raising your kaiju in combat. You'll participate in tournaments to earn money, decorations, skill chips, and a lot more. There's special tournaments that you need to win in order to increase your monster rank and breeder rank. And that's pretty much the whole game in a nutshell. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. What did I like and what did I dislike? First of all, the theme. How did I like it? As much as I would really love to just have another Monster Rancher game featuring the characters of the anime, the kaiju monsters, it works here. I'm not 100% familiar with all of the licensed monsters here, but I did recognize the bigger well-known ones, like Ultraman and, Gamora for instance. At least they do have some cameos of the past Monster Rancher games like Mochi and Suezo. They are obtainable after doing very specific tournament wins in the game. I think the combat itself, unfortunately, it's probably the weakest part of the game. If you've played the other Monster Rancher games, then you'll understand where I'm coming from here. It's clunky, hard to control, and it just doesn't feel all that great to manually control during fights. But you know, it is nostalgic because it's similar to the older games, but I think newer players to the series might not take well to the system. It's definitely mechanics that will appeal primarily to hardcore Monster Rancher fans. With that being said, I don't think the game is necessarily bad. The strongest part here is actually the monster raising, the other half of the game. It's fast and quick to get to training and other tasks done during the weeks, all leading up to combat. You can always set the combat to auto and just, enjoy the show that way. One of the coolest features of the past games was the ability to use a real-world disc to place in your PlayStation while the game is running in order to summon new monsters. It was always a treat to get randomized results putting an old music disc. In this game, there's obviously no more disc because of the Switch using a cartridge system. So what they did now was allow you to use the reading function on your controller that would normally be used to read amiibos, and instead use compatible NFC devices. Things like, card clubs, gym memberships, employee cards, they can be scanned here. It's Nintendo made sure to put a notice saying that there's no information that will be stored on the Switch. It's actually pretty funny that they had to do that. Along with scanning, you can use random keywords that you can type in to produce static results. I found a website that was dedicated to players submitting their word combinations. You can see which monsters you'll get, the variations, the stats, and the traits that go along with it. And yes, though you're able to summon stronger monsters this way, a lot of them will still be locked behind tournaments and breeding level requirements. So you can't just cheat your way to victory here. If you do put a combination that would give you a strong Red King or Emoji, for example, that you haven't unlocked, another random monster instead would show up. There's around 200 or so monsters in the game. It sounds pretty impressive, but play enough and you'll start to see that a lot of them are reskin variations. The models themselves don't really change too much, but then you can see different color palettes, stats, and traits. They're going to be different. So in my opinion, overall, the game is fun if you are looking for this specific type of game. It's a monster raising simulator with outdated combat mechanics that feel clunky. The game loop is repetitive but addicting. It's basically training to level, combats, adventuring, tournaments, fusing, and then doing it all over again. It's hard to explain, but it is mindless fun. Is Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher worth playing? I think yes. Fans of the old and new players should have a good time here. Is it worth the full price though? For $49.99? Unfortunately, I'd have to say absolutely not. It feels like too much for not enough. It's a nostalgic trip in terms of mechanics with a new theme. Maybe they spent a lot of money licensing the various kaijus, but I can't honestly recommend it at full price, guys. I think maybe a sale of around $29.99 is probably the max value Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher is worth here. So that's it. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like. It helps a lot. If you haven't already, please subscribe for daily videos and comment below. What do you guys think about this game? Are you disappointed it's not another anime sort of game? Are you jumping in even though it's a high price? Or man, maybe you just don't want to play it at all. Also, if you want to see my gameplay, I'm uploading it all on my Let's Play channel, link down below, and I'll be live streaming a lot of this game and other games on my Twitch. Once again, links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.